Hello everyone, happy Tuesday to you all. I am popping on because I got a lot of messages about my reel yesterday that was speaking to the top 12 ways for moms to build stress resilience, and this is for moms over 40, and saying that the captions or the text on the page was way too fast for people to read, and I agree, it was very fast. So I thought I'd come on today so you won't have to go back and annoyingly screenshot everything and just speak to those top 12 things. And again, this is my top 12 and things that I promote with clients, and it's things that I practice myself on an everyday basis in an effort to build stress resilience. And when I say stress resilience, it's my thought process in addressing stress and the inevitable stressors that we have in our world as moms, and especially at this transitional age of 40, where we physically have a lot going on in terms of hormonally, sometimes physically, from a pain standpoint or from an injury perspective, from a soft tissue standpoint. Also, many of us have children, like the boys just started middle school, and I've got 2 in elementary school, so you're dealing with different schedules. Or if we're starting a new job, or like myself, going back and adding to our current education, it's a lot of transition. And all of these elements add up to an accumulation of stress. Some of it is good and some of it is not so good. And it really depends on our foundation coming into it and how we're going to really handle this stress. And so our goal is not so much to eliminate stress, because it's inevitable that we're going to have it. It is to build a better resilience to the stress so that when stressors do occur, that we can move through and process through that stressor a lot easier. Because as I've said in other posts and in other captions, stress and our response to stress is generic, meaning that the stress response, if you are having chronic pelvic floor issues, you can't go do the type of exercise that you like, or you're always feeling heavy pressure, that's causing you to just feel this low level stress all the time, or blood sugar dysregulation, where you are constantly having hypoglycemic episodes, or disrupted sleep at night, where you can't fall into a deep sleep, and then you're tired, exhausted every day between like 2 and 4, to where you're not functioning well. Those all build stress in the same way that your preteen is yelling at you and telling you you're not the most awesome thing around, right? So we all have that, and it's a matter of how do we build that resilience. So that's kind of the background thought process on all of this. Now, in my practice, we go through and do functional lab testing. We're not going to speak to that today. I want to give you some ready, you can go out tomorrow and do all of these things and start building it. Now, there's 12 of them, so you don't have to do all 12 tomorrow. The thing to remember is if you're actively processing and practicing and attempting to carry out at least one of those things each day, and then you build, and it's an accumulation of habits over time, you are winning. And you should feel proud about that, because it's really hard if you're coming into this in a state where, again, I get a lot of messages like I'm completely lost. Ever since I've had kids, how am I I feel like my world is overwhelming in so many different areas, from food to exercise to my body doesn't feel good. I don't know what type of exercise. I've got diastasis, I've got prolapse that's never been addressed. I don't have the time to do those things. There's no one in my area. All those things can create such a significant overwhelm that it's really hard when you see someone come on and they're like, oh, make sure you salt your fruit and eat dinner for breakfast. It's a lot of change to happen at once. So start with one thing that's the easiest to accomplish, and then start layering in others, and you'll integrate it into your world the best way that you can. So let's start with food before coffee. That was number 1. And we won't go into all of the mechanism and physiology behind these. I'm going to give you the easy descriptor so you can feel confident about that's a really good decision. So coffee is a stimulant, right? So caffeine is a stimulant, and typically you're going to be having that in the morning. And that's usually when you haven't been eating all night, so you've been fasting overnight, which is a good thing. And that means that our body, we need to have something coming in fuel-wise, to fuel our cells instead of caffeine. Now, all the rage has been bulletproof coffee, and certainly it has population that it serves. Again, remember, I'm speaking to busy moms with, younger kids still at home around age 40 who have a lot going on, who are not exactly in stress balance. So you think about that scenario, and then you say, would it be wise for me to, first thing in the morning on an empty stomach, have only coffee, and then bump my breakfast, if that's like 7 o'clock, bump my breakfast to 9 or 10 to adhere to my new intermittent fasting strategy or my time restricted eating, or just because life is so busy and I can't wake up and function without my caffeine. Caffeine has numerous benefits, but caffeine without food in your stomach can lead to other issues down the line, including blood sugar dysregulation, because it will cause a spike in cortisol, and it will also then, in return, spike your blood sugar. So we need in the morning, especially if you have adrenal issues, and how do you know if you have them? You're not sleeping well at night, you're crashing out later in the day, your joints hurt, your muscles hurt, you have mood swings, you wake up in the morning and you have no energy. It's like you haven't even been sleeping overnight. You wake up and you're exhausted, right? So what do we do instead of having coffee in the morning? You can switch to tea. You can switch to like a yerba mate, which is also caffeine, but you would still have it after you have eaten something. So have that breakfast mapped out before you go into your coffee or your caffeine for the day. Really, really important, especially if you have thyroid issues like hypothyroidism. Very, very important to have food first. Okay, so number 2 is avoid using food to wake up. All right, so what I mean by that is like you've ever heard some people say, or even thought yourself, I know I've said it in the past, they just need a little something. Like whether that something is like a piece of hard candy. Okay, I won't go into my big story for time's sake, but so using anything to stimulate you in as far as food. Think about using your meals as your fuel. So you want a meal that is not like, enough for a toddler, but you also don't need like a hungry man meal. You want something that's going to be a log. Real food gangsters use the terminology log a lot. They're more on the line of pro-metabolic eating. And it's important to think about that your meal composition is something that's going to be carrying you from one meal to the next. In many cases with clients, I advise meal, snack, meal, snack, meal. But it's highly individual. So if we're using food strategically at specific times of the day, this is also shown in many different research papers to optimize circadian rhythm and help to put us into a better position to get into a depth of sleep at night. So we should eat at more predicted meal times and avoid just grabbing a snack, or like the hardest one, and give me a heart if you understand this and have been in this place, is when our kids are snacking, to not just like pop a little in our mouth or have a little bit with them. And that becomes an issue because it throws off our blood sugar stability if we're not eating at a predicted time, or we're just mindlessly eating, or again, we're eating to prop energy. That shows us again dysfunctional adrenals, right? We shouldn't use food to prop energy, because usually that food is going to be what? Like something sugary, highly palatable, not necessarily nutrient dense, and we want the energy to be generated authentically. So instead, think about the big thing in the sky for free. Get out in the sun. If you're in an office and you're like, man, I'm at a computer and I am falling asleep and it's like killing me and I just need like even just an apple. Can I just have an apple? It's not that an apple is bad. It's like, why are you so tired? Why has everything become so stagnant and energy has become so low? So other strategies for you are essential oils, hydration with salt. I really like Element tea powder. I have a great discount code to that if you want to message me for that as a hydration packet. But minerals are stimulating. And then that way you're not developing coping mechanisms where you're using food to prop energy on a depleted system. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. I said learn to love plants. Well, this one's multifaceted. If you've been following me for a while, you know I love plants of all kinds. I have a huge garden. And I love house plants, all the ones I can find and bring in the house. I love them. Plants are very medicinal in that way from an energy standpoint, from a neurological standpoint, but then I'm thinking about it more from a food standpoint. And learning to love all different types of plants, not the big bag of frozen Costco broccoli, which I will fully readily admit I buy each week as a, have it easy on hand. But trying lots of different types of plants, like Trader Joe's this week had artichokes, and learning how to cook different kinds, purple cabbages, fermented plants, all these different types of plants because they bolster the microbiome. And the microbiome also plays a role in our nervous system. And if we really want the gatekeeper to stress resilience, it is those two things. So learning to love plants and plants of a broad range of diversity is going to be highly, highly beneficial to you. And if you don't love them now, or your world is set up where meals are super quick, they're always standing, they're always on the go, learning how to insert plants into your meals and to cook them in a way that feels good to your body, makes you look forward to your meals, that's going to be really, really helpful to you and supportive of your health long term. All right, build a morning movement habit. This is important for that cortisol awakening response. Notice I didn't say build a high intensity exercise morning routine. So again, speaking back to the population that I'm speaking to, which is moms 35 plus, around the age of 40, and we are in a lot of intensity throughout the day or constant go throughout the day. Adrenals are taxed. What should your morning movement look like? That's a whole nother live, but you can imagine starting the day with movement is a really smart idea to developing that really high spike in cortisol that we want in the cortisol awakening response, which is something I test on the Dutch hormone test, and then helping your rhythm to stay nice throughout the day. Arguably, there's different times from a tissue standpoint, hormonal standpoint, to do your high intensity exercise, your strength workouts at later times in the day. But for moms, most of us, it needs to be done first thing in the morning because we're pretty much on it for the rest of the day. And then the evening, if we have a spike in cortisol because of a late day workout, that can interfere with our sleep. So a morning movement habit is a great, great practice to get into. Dinner for breakfast, a lot of questions about that. So dinner for breakfast meant start savory, right? Start savory before you have your coffee. And these are things like you can take leftovers from the night before, you can use eggs, you can use salmon, chicken, whatever protein that you like. I am not a vegan or a vegetarian. I don't know how to coach or speak to that to get a complete nutrition. There are coaches that do that, so I would advise an animal protein first thing in the morning. And starting that day with savory is your log that I spoke to earlier, and getting you on that really nice blood sugar stability throughout the day. And that's going to be really, really important to your overall stress resilience. Protein is your foundation on each meal. So if you think about framing your plate, when I was in school for dietetics a couple decades ago, it was all about framing it around bread, pasta, rice. And I think we've moved away from that, fortunately, because that's not ideal for yourself or for your blood sugar stability. So frame it around protein, and that's where you're going to really invest. Get the higher quality protein because it's going to have a better amino acid profile, arguably a better fatty acid profile. If you can't afford the high-end steaks, get the ground meats. There's lots of places everywhere from Walmart to Costco to even Aldi sells that now. And make sure you seek those out to put them on your plate. Lots of simple cooking methods to do those. But protein is your foundation at every meal and snack. And that will help with everything from, remember, neurotransmitters are built through protein, as well as body repair, tissue repair. And we need that for muscle protein synthesis, for muscle maintenance, especially after the age of 40. We also need mechanical load. You can't just eat protein and then decide think that your muscle's going to grow. You need mechanical load too. But that comes in your morning movement practice as well. Salt your fruit. Oh my God, a flurry of questions and DMs about this. So minerals and hair tissue mineral testing is one of the foundational steps in my program and something that I do every 4 months, and it's been a huge game changer in my health. But potassium and sodium go together. And if we think about like way back to anatomy and physiology, or physiology and thinking about all the different pumps in the body, protein or potassium, sodium, calcium, chloride, all of those are really important for all different pumps, from everything from neurotransmitter, so cell to cell communication, neuron to neuron communication, muscle stimulation, all of that. We need minerals, right? And they work better in pairs. And that's the whole purpose of hair tissue mineral analysis, is to identify different combinations that may be lacking in you, or deficiencies that are driving the symptoms that you're having. So salting your fruit is just one hack. And I promise you, if you take that and put it on, so like you say you have a grapefruit in the morning and you salt it with a little bit of Redmond's real salt, which I love that. That was my giveaway a couple weeks ago. Redmond salt is fantastic. It helps you to absorb the potassium more in that citrus. Also, things like papaya, mango, avocado are all fruits that are high in potassium. We need potassium for stabilizing blood sugar. So you can see a theme here to our stress resilience practices, with blood sugar being one of the foundational pieces to that theme. Okay, this is probably one of my biggest pet peeves that I see a lot in coaching, and I'm not sure where it comes from. I think it's like trying to be relational to people and not hurt anybody's feelings, or be like, so ditch cheat meals. Really, really important in my opinion. So it's not like, oh, I've been so good, I've done so many good things, I'm just going to eat all the foods now that make me feel, or like I used to eat, or make me feel like, I'm rewarding myself in some way because I've been so good. And then you end up feeling like crap for like 2 to 3 weeks, or 2 to 3 days in some instances, but you don't really realize what's going on physiologically inside. This does not mean you need to eat like a robot all the time and only eat broccoli and chicken and almonds. I certainly wouldn't want that. But if you have known sensitivities, or alcohol is a big one to cheat on, and you are actively working on your health, you have insulin resistance, you have high inflammation, your thyroid's dysfunctional, you know that your gut has had either a lot of pathogens or a huge dysbiosis, you have exhaustion, mood swings, really difficult periods, not a great idea to have cheat meals because you're only cheating yourself. So it doesn't really make too much sense. Go buy a really great outfit, or go, do something nice, get a facial, do something for yourself in that way instead of having the cheat meal, because it doesn't make too much sense. Or even better, if you really, really want the whatever the cheat meal is in your mind, learn how to make it, and learn how to make it with ingredients that are not going to totally trash your system and make you feel like junk and throw you off of the good rhythm that you've gotten in. Okay, another one, we're almost there, get help for body pain. So if you're experiencing physical pain, okay, I've had 2 sets of twins. Going into the first twin pregnancy, I was told never to have babies because my spine was in such bad shape. I have huge bone spurs, no disc space in the lumbar spine from many years of training really, really hard and lots of miles on a spinal curvature. I have a lot of pain issues. If I didn't manage them well and seek help for them and learn about my body and learn optimal ways to move my body, and like right now, I'm walking on the treadmill instead of, when I work, sitting in a chair. Chronic pain of any kind or chronic dysfunction in movement of any kind is going to drive up stress. So it's that low level resting stress, and you tack life on top of it. So this doesn't mean that, like, I don't wake up every day and I'm like bounding across the room, like no pain, but I know how to manage it, and that's what you need to find as well. And what type of training is going to be optimal for you? What type of movement needs to be a part of your everyday in order for your body to stay fit and functional, and you to be able to participate in life in the way that you want to. Pelvic floor is usually top of the list for women, and like just kind of brushing it aside, like you leak when you sneeze, you leak when you run, you have pressure, pain with intercourse, and it's just like, oh man, like all my friends do too. Don't brush that aside. Like Back pain can be a lot of times be pelvic floor pain, hip pain. There are so many practitioners, and if you don't know who to follow or reach out to, I do. So message me, and I will share those accounts with you, and the women that are really, really helping a lot of other women. So seek help for that body pain and figure out what's going to move best for your body. Okay, stay fit for life. Really important. So age 40, age 20s, like we're thinking about like, man, like how am I going to look in my like shorts, my bathing suit? Or our number one reason usually for training is either you're competing actively in some sort of athletic event, or you are training because you want to look good. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like I still want to look good, but it's not the main focus. The main focus, and I've been fortunate to spend the first half of my career working with seniors and really seeing evidence of people who focused on not getting out of shape, focused on staying in a strong health routine and a strong strength and exercise program no matter what. They aged really well. They didn't spend like doctor visit to doctor visit. They spent their money on personal training, gym memberships, back when I was working at the hospital, and they spent their time, they invested in themselves and continuing to grow their body and keep their body fit and strong. And finding ways around their home. They didn't get a single level house. They stayed in a 2-level house. They kept mowing their yard. They kept cleaning their own house. They actively cooked for themselves at home. They sought the activities that were going to keep them fit for life. So those are the people that I role model after, because those are the people that I want to be living like 30 years from now. I do not want to trash my system now, especially with the history that I have with my back, so that I can't exercise, because I love to exercise, or I can't be active later on. So stay fit for life, and if you start getting down that rabbit hole of like trying to get shredded or like trying to cut it up, yeah, grandma, totally. Like my grandmother was like a testament to all of this, and oh my God, she's a total role model. I could do a whole live on her. Oh, I have goosebumps now. Okay. All right, so staying fit for life. Okay, so supplements. Okay, I take supplements. I recommend supplements to my clients. Supplements are amazing, and there's a lot of really great companies out there now. Please do not buy them at Costco, Walgreens, and Walmart, Target, anywhere like that. Like, find a practitioner, know what you need to take, because even taking magnesium blindly can be harmful because you throw things out of balance. Things like ascorbic acid, vitamin C, can be really, really harmful to your minerals. Taking too much vitamin D can tank potassium. It's a hormone, but it's over the counter, and people are someone was taking 30,000 IU the other day that came to me, and it was like, oh my God, like, go in the sun. It's crazy. So supplements only come in after you are building the health habits now that you need to have in place. 20 to 30 years from now, they may look a little different, but your systems will stay in place. Your self-guided protocols will be there. Supplements do not come into place. I wanted to stay in here, but there's not enough room. Like keto and macro counting and all of this, when you wake up at 7 and all you eat is coffee until noon, and then it's a bar or like a shake, and then it's random goldfish off your kids' plates. It's not a criticism, but if you're doing patterns similar to this, that's something to fix first before you jump into any type of particular supplement routine or trying to, go to these extreme diets. Get in a solid rhythm with exercise, sunlight exposure, light exposure in general, so optimizing sleep, and nourishing yourself with real whole foods and learning how to cook. That will go way further than dumping tons and tons of money into supplements when really you're missing the fundamentals. It all starts with food and movement. If you nail those and you still want to optimize on top of that, that's when you reach out and you don't just randomly supplement. You learn what you need based on the appropriate testing for you. You do not need all of the testing in the world. I'm going to halt that there because that can go on for a while. So health habits first and then supplements come. Okay, and then most important, number 12, please remember to just be consistent, not perfect. So if you are a perfectionist mindset or you have like I gotta wait till the kids are, in a good place, they're a little older. I gotta wait till I'm in a good rhythm. Please just stop that. And just start with consistency. Choose one thing and master it, just crush it, stay with it, and then add in the next thing. And then add in the next thing. And it doesn't mean that every day it's perfect. If you want to think about it on a weekly scale, like the accumulation of what I've done over the week or the month. And then just keep layering habits if you have a day that's off. Because what is our world as moms? It's not predictable. I don't know about yours, but I could go on for yesterday was not predictable. And I'm sure this afternoon will not be, because there's a lot of things that we need to spur of the moment, kind of redirect and change. And that affects our rhythm too. So stay consistent with the things that you can manage in your world right now. And then as you build resilience, you will be so shocked how much more you can layer in and how much bigger you can build this practice for yourself. So I'm sorry that it was so fast yesterday. I hope this was helpful for you, those of you that were watching that reel. And most importantly, whatever you learn here, make sure you share it. Talk to your friends about it and share these messages, because it's really, really important that we get this message out. Because honestly, this last little bit and then I'll go. Even when I look on other hashtags to try to interact with other Instagram pages, which there are a lot of good ones out there, it's like mom health has got everyone, and it's something to do with physique, or it's something to do with extremes of health. There's nothing where it's we're talking about what we're going to do 30 years from now, or in the context of my world right now, in real mom world, what's going on and how can I optimize my health? So it's hard to say that without being negative or sounding negative. The bottom line is watch who you follow, watch who you role model after. Look at the best ones to watch for are your grandparents that are aged well, or friends or family that have aged really well, and you're like, man, I want that to be me. I want to be fully participating in life when I'm 70. I do not want to be on a handful of medications and have a body that's completely out of control health-wise, because at that point, you're not going to recover it. Now is the time to put it in. And not only that for ourselves, but we have all these little eyes watching us that we would never want them to end up that way, and it's on us, right? Okay, I'm going to go because the girls are hungry and I have a call. So if you guys have extra or any other questions, please let me know. I'm happy to answer them, and thank you so much for watching today. And remember, go do something great for yourself. Enjoy a great meal, get in the sun, and we'll see you again. All right, bye-bye.